back to my channel. Today we're going to be drawing a peony flower and a peony bud. So we're going to get started first with the full peony with this zebra Clickart pen and this normal number 2 pencil that my son gave me. And so we're going to get started by drawing an oval looking donut with a small circle on the inside and a larger oval circle on the outside, and making sure to offset that center circle because we're going to do a slight side view with this peony. And now I'm drawing a few arrows just to show you where the petals are going to be and which direction they're going to fold over the center or out of the center. And so these arrows are just guidelines, but just to give you a rough idea of where we're going to put them. Okay, so you should be doing this in pencil, but I'm going to go ahead and do it in pen just so that you guys can see a little bit better. And we're going to start with this frontmost petal whose shape we can see completely. It's not overlapped with any other petals, but we can use this one as our starting guide petal. And from there, we're going to build the 2 side petals that are folding over the center. So here is the right one, and now we're going to do the left one. Okay, and now we're going to do the back petal because this one is also not behind any other petals, and we're going to use it as a guide to do the slight side ones. And now the next 2 petals that we're going to draw are slightly different because this one's we're seeing from the side. So we are going to be adding a fold. So draw the main shape, and the way you add a fold is actually really simple. You just add an extra line along the side. And there you have it, it's a fold. Now let's go to the other side, doing the same thing, almost identical but not quite because we like imperfect flowers to make them look more realistic, and then we add that fold. Now we're going to get started with the petals in the back, making sure to add little divots to add character to these petals. And we're going to do some more here on the front that kind of look like those side ones that we added the extra fold. So looking very similar, and here we add an extra line for the fold, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side here in a minute. But here's another petal in the back, and now here's the other one that's going to be your front side from the side where you can see that fold. Okay, and the last 2 petals that we're going to draw are the ones that kind of fold backwards towards us from the center. So there is one, and we're going to add one more here. And like I said, add those divots. You can add extra little folds to add character. But that is it for the petals, and we're going to get started with the center. And I apologize for the shaking on this part. I bumped the table while I was drawing. But we're going to start with the center by drawing these 3 little mounds surrounded by little finger-like squiggles. And these squiggles are what's going to create the complex center of the peony. But it's actually really simple. They're just little squiggles, but when you're finished, it's going to look amazing. And the squiggles here on the bottom should kind of flare out to the sides because this is a slight side view and we don't want your center to look flat. The ones that are on the top should come out a little bit more straight, but the sides and bottoms should flare to the sides a little bit in order to add that movement and make them go in slightly different directions, overlap them, make some slightly longer, make some slightly shorter, just so that it doesn't look too uniform, because that's peony center always looks a little bit messy, and that's what makes it look so beautiful. So feel free to pause here if you need a little bit more time, but whenever you're ready, we'll move on to the next step. And so the last step for this peony flower is the details. And so the detail lines for this front petal, the first one that we drew that we use as a guide, are going to be curving 2 different directions, or curving towards the center, because we are seeing it kind of from the front side, full head on. Whereas this flower here on the side, we're seeing it folding inward, so all the detail lines on this one will all be facing towards the center. Same with this petal here on the left. Now the detail lines for this back petal will be a lot like that front petal, where they are curving inward from two different directions. As you continue to add the detail lines to your flower, you can do it in pencil first, just so that you can try out different detail lines to see if it looks natural or unnatural. You can always erase it and try again. My biggest tip that I like to share about the detail lines is making sure that you are adding variety in the length of the detail lines, because if they're all the same length, it's going to look very uniform and kind of flat, almost cartoonish in a way. So making sure that you add that variety in length. You can add longer ones to show the full length of the petal, or you can add shorter ones toward the center to add a little bit more depth in, or almost like a shadow towards the center. But don't be afraid. And another tip that I have is, if you are ever using a reference photo, just look at the natural veins of the petals, and that should show you exactly where to put those detail lines. And as you're drawing these detail lines, feel free to turn your paper around, twist it to whichever petal you're working on. I didn't twist it in this video just so that I'm not moving the paper around too much for you guys. But I usually, when I'm drawing for myself, I like to turn my paper so that I'm not twisting my hand too much. And it also kind of helps you see the flower from different angles and see, which detail lines need to be redone or which ones look great and which way petals should be folding. I know that the details take a large chunk of time, so if you need more time, once again, please feel free to pause this video, or if you're already done, to go ahead and fast forward to the next part. But once you're done, you have this beautiful peony flower, and you can just erase all those pencil guides, and voila, you have this beautiful peony flower. So for the second part of this video, we're going to be drawing a peony bud. I have no idea why I decided to draw it on a separate piece of paper. In hindsight, I should have, but we're going to get started by drawing a circle with a smaller circle towards the top. So it kind of should look like the pupil of an eyeball. This little circle is where all the petals are going to meet. This is kind of showing that inside part of the flower that we can't really see, that dark part. And so all the petals are going to fold in towards that center. I'm doing it first here in pencil, and then I will do it again in pen so that you guys can see it a little bit better. But the front ones, we can see the full shape, and then the back ones, we can only see the part that's folding up towards us. And then in the inside, we're going to do little squiggles that are the petals that we can't fully see. And this one, I'm drawing a few little leaves and the stem just to kind of complete it a little bit more. All right, so let's get started with the pen so you can see it better. When you get to the top of the petal, go ahead and add those little divots so that you add characteristic to your petals. And here you're going to be seeing the back petals, how they kind of get thinner because you're only seeing that part that's folding towards you. And we're going to add some little squiggles underneath these. These are the petals that are underneath these other big petals, so you're only seeing the small tips. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little cross hatch here in the center of this flower. This is to make it look dark. This is not the same as the center of the flower like you drew in the first peony flower with the mounds and the finger-like squiggles. This is just showing that darkness, that there is more inside this flower that we can't see, but it changes the texture a little bit so you don't mistake it for petals. And so with the detail lines, you're going to do it pretty much the same way as you did the peony flower, showing the directions of the petals, adding variety in length of detail lines. And so as you do these back petals, they are all folding towards the center, so the detail lines should all be pointing towards that center as well. Once you finish with the detail lines, you can go ahead and erase all your pencil guide marks and behold the beautiful flower that you drew. I hope that you found this tutorial helpful and easy to follow. Thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out for my next tutorial coming soon of a hibiscus flower 3 different ways. Thank you.